Hello Guardian, ISO here. In this video, I wanted to do something a little different. For those that might not fully understand the Destiny universe, I thought it would be a good idea to do my own little summary of the Destiny world and its history. It's a large franchise since its first release all the way back in September of 2014, so there's a lot of stuff that's happened, and I think this sort of thing is super important to go over for context. So without further ado, let's start this Destiny rundown. The light and the darkness. Since the dawn of existence, there's been a war between two paracausal forces known as light and darkness, disorder and order. The light seeks to bring complexity and harmony. It desires the strange complexity of life forms and wants new life to grow wherever it can. Its goal is disorder in this fashion that everything could be unique and interesting in a most wholesome capacity. However, the darkness seeks to simplify. Its goal is to break down the universe until everything that exists takes a single final shape. A long time ago, long before the dawn of humanity, an entity known as the Traveler was created by the light as a vessel. It was charged with traveling through the galaxy and blessing worthy civilizations with the light, which can then wield it kinda like space magic. These civilizations use the light to bring prosperity to their people. However, the Traveler has to always keep moving, for it is always being pursued by the darkness, and it is always close behind. The creation of the Hive. Hundreds of millions of years ago, an alien race known as the Krill lived on a large gas giant planet called Fundament. There, a great leviathan existed in the ocean, a creature of gigantic size and vast intellect. The Krill worshipped the leviathan, and its only wish was that they stayed on the light of the surface. Deeper, a great power was trapped, but power is not always what is needed, the leviathan told them. The Krill lived in this way for a long time, and the Osmium Court was developed, and three sisters, three princesses, rose: Arash, Zero, and Zathona. But a great calamity was going to befall Fundament, and the princesses of the Osmium Court dipped below the surface to look for whatever power was trapped, abandoning the teachings of the Leviathan. There in the core of the planet, they found 5 worm gods, named Yol, Ir, Zol, and Akka. And the worms whispered great and terrible things to them. They claimed that the Leviathan would drown the people in fear, and if they were to take the larvae of the worms into their bodies, they could be remade in the image of the worms and be granted unimaginable power through the deep, otherwise known as the darkness. The 3 sisters became immortal, taking new names. Shown here from left to right, Arash became Oryx, the Osmium King, and became male. Zero became Xivu Arath, the god of war, and Zathona became Savathun, the Witch Queen. The larvae were distributed among their people. Those that resisted were slain, and those that gave in were forever transformed into what we now call the Hive. The Hive started a conquest across the galaxy in the names of the worms and the deep. The Hive are not the strongest enemies in Destiny, but they are without a doubt the oldest. Humanity and the Nine. When life started to dawn in the Sol system, primordial beings were created from the gravity between the Sun and its major planets. A group of entities, only known as the Nine, were formed. They exist as long as life in the Sol system exists, and because of this, they are allies of humanity. The exact nature of the Nine is not well known, but they're still worth mentioning. The Fallen. Around the same time humanity was developing, another race was being born, and they called themselves the Elixni. These insectoid aliens lived on a planet called Reese, and eventually the Traveler came to them and blessed them with the light. They called the Traveler the Great Machine, and it ushered them into an age of prosperity. They had learned that their atmosphere was quite rare, so when they began to explore the stars, they created a drug known as ether, which would allow them to breathe other atmospheres. However, an unspecified event known as the Whirlwind rocked the Elixni homeworld. No one is sure if it was a natural disaster, a political upheaval, or a military conflict, but it brought the Elixni society to its knees. The Traveler lost faith in the Elixni and left. The various political houses of the Elixni caved in on themselves and scattered amongst the stars. Now, they are known as the Fallen. Partially due to miscommunication, and partially because of the loss of their culture, the Fallen began to worship all technology in wake of their great machine. They crafted servitors in the image of the Traveler, which rationed ether to the Fallen and kept their hierarchy in check. They wished to hunt down the Traveler and prove to it that they still are deserving of its light. Humanity's Golden Age. In the 21st century, the Traveler suddenly appeared in the Sol system. Humanity was unsure of its intentions, but it used its power to start terraforming some of the planets in the Sol system, notably Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter. When it moved on to Mars, humanity made contact with the Traveler, and a golden age begun. Technology and science moved forward by leaps and bounds. Human lifespan tripled. With the power of the light, miracles were an everyday occurrence. However, on Venus, humanity discovered old ruins belonging to the Vex, a complex hive mind network of machines. The Vex existed to convert anything that they can get their claws on into more Vex. The larger their network becomes, the smarter they become. Fun fact, the Vex themselves aren't actually the robots portrayed here. The Vex are actually microorganisms that exist inside of a substance called radiolarian fluid. They built the robots as vessels with which to carry themselves. That little pod of white liquid inside the robots, that's the actual Vex. The Vex aren't capable of language, thought, or sentience. The only thing that matters to them is the pattern, or as we call it, the darkness. They envy the pattern's desire to bring everything down to a single collective shape, and view their conversion technology as paramount to the pattern. They seek to remake everything into Vex, and to destroy that which cannot be remade. But, back to the Golden Age. Many large scientific organizations were founded during this time. On Venus, the Ishtar Collective was created. More notably, on Mars, Clovis Bray I founded Braytech. Braytech is responsible for many technological advancements. They created engrams, which are capable of storing complex objects into a condensed and encrypted state. They also created exoscience, which was a project that allowed them to transfer human minds into mechanical frames, resulting in the Exo. They also started the Warmind project on Mars, which was a network of military satellites powered and overseen by a Warmind AI, which they named Rasputin. Exodus ships were created to take passengers to these new utopias among the stars. Advanced matter fabrication tech like SIVA, advanced weapons like the Black Armory forges, you name it. In addition to technological advances, the Traveler chose to bless certain exemplary souls as its speakers. These speakers were able to listen directly to the Traveler and spread the teachings of the light. This was humanity's Golden Age. That seems like a pretty good stopping point so far. We've gone over the creation of the Hive, we've talked about the Fallen's origins, we even talked about humanity's origins, and of course the whole light versus dark thing, and that brought us all the way to the Golden Age of humanity, which is a pretty big deal, but as you can guess, it's all going to go to shit. So in the next episode, we'll be talking about humanity's collapse and the following Dark Age. Now, because of all the visual editing that goes into these videos, they definitely take a little bit longer to make, so I'm not 100% sure when the next video will be coming out, but it should be releasing relatively soon, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And always remember, the best way to let me know that you enjoy my content is to leave a like on the video or a comment down below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next video.